and you, Mike. That's it.
It's me and you, buddy.
It's like there's nobody else at the table.
There is nobody else at the table.
That's right, Mike.
Right now, Phil Ivey, our big winner, up nearly $85,000. Patrick Antonius.
Time for him to wake up.
Going the speed limit. Well, at least the speed limit in America.
I didn't know he slept.
2,000 to play. Pass.
And Alan Cunningham playing a great game and not managing to get anything to work for him. He's raised it up this hand with the ace-queen.
Patrick.
Online?
Chinese.
Oh.
Call from Patrick.
Who won the Chinese match?
Heads up.
Antonius loves to defend that blind. So rarely throws it away.
6, 7, 10.
And he flops top pair.
Check.
Seems to be a magnet for that 10.
I'm going to play. Let's play during the breaks.
3,000 to play.
20-point crisscross.
For me, that's the kind of board I might not make a continuation bet on when you're up against someone like Patrick, who's a blind defender. The 6, 7, 10. It just looks like it's going to have hit an awful lot of the kind of hands he's going to play.
The problem also is the fact that Antonius, even if it hasn't hit him, a lot of times he will take one off anyway. And you really have, it's very difficult for you to know where you're at. But if there's one person at this table who knows where he's at, it's probably Alan Cunningham.
Raise.
Oh, I think he knows he's behind now.
11,000.
I told you. David Benyon goes.
Yeah, and Cunningham gives it up. Patrick Antonius takes down the pot.
2.1 million. It's like, that's 200 points. 200 points you could lose in an hour. I lost 89 points.
It's almost uncanny, Phil Ivey here. We've seen him make 2 big bluffs, both of them work, and 1 huge value bet, and he gets paid off. It just seems like whatever he does works perfectly.
It's either great instincts or really knowing your players, and that's why he is rated by so many players as the best in the world.
He's a professional whiner. I heard you're the biggest winner in Chinese of anybody.
How do you think we've done?
24 hours straight, no limit hold'em. And these guys have their wits about him right now. But what about in 15 hours though?
Looks like it's the game between the Ivies. Oh, I heard.
2,000 to play.
Alan Cunningham going to raise this one up.
Pass.
Going to raise it up with Queen 10 of hearts.
Pass.
Little bit more open from him. Here's Phil on the button.
Cool.
Coming for you.
If you were ever a don't player, just if you ever become a don't player, just call me up. Because I promise it'll come a 7 every time.
Pass.
I promise.
Heads up, Cunningham, Ivey.
Heads up.
I'll never forget. I mean, I've never walked to a table where the first hand didn't go.
Oh, there's a
7-0.
deuce.
I walked up
8, 6 deuce.
twice when you were on a big roll.
Cunningham had Ivey in bad shape pre-flop, but no longer.
Check.
Ivey's taking the lead and it goes check, check.
7.
Straight draw for both players.
3,000 to play.
Pretty sure Ivey's not going anywhere. No, he's going to call this one down.
He's got position. He's got the best hand right now.
Ace.
Well, that could be a scare card. Is there any way Cunningham can use that one?
Well, if he makes the bet, it will probably get through. But
No.
he doesn't.
And there's no way Ivey's going to bet this one. He's going to hope his deuces are good. And they are.
I think Alan's feeling a little bit like it's not working for him so far today.
Ivy's got the deuce.
10 deuce?
Possibly a missed opportunity from Alan there. He knows he's unlikely to win the pot if he checks it.
Phil is a pair player.
You say drawing dead?
Let's drawing dead.
Pass.
But he has the least amount of money at the table. He only has $63,200 right now.
Sounded like a prop and he said, I'm out.
At some point, do you want to rebuy?
Raise. 2,100
Well,
to play.
you've got to look around the table and decide if it's a good spot to rebuy, you know? Like, do you think you've got much of an edge against these players? These are some of the best players anywhere in the world.
Well, how about Andrew Feldman's got pocket aces once again?
Well, he probably wishes he had more money in front of him right now. Looks like he's lining up for a re-raise, unsurprisingly.
Well, it's a great spot. You've got the raise from Tom Dwan. You've got a call from Phil Ivey. It looks like a perfect spot for a squeeze play.
Looks like he's trying to price in one of them. The problem with trying to price in one of them, if one of them comes in, the other one probably will.
Pass.
Of course, the squeeze play is when one of them raises it up with possibly a marginal hand. He gets a couple of callers because they all think he's probably got a marginal hand. And then you think if you can get past that original raiser, you'll pick up all that money in the pot.
Well, he gets past the original razor, and that'll probably get rid of Ivy, but we'll have to see.
Phil doesn't like leaving any chips out there.
Looks like he's put his babies out there. He doesn't want to leave his babies out there.
And the price is pretty well quite cheap.
Well, it's 6,100.
I bet if it was 9-10 of spades, he'd definitely call. Might not like the king in his hand.
Pass.
That's why he gets out the way, I think. And that one goes to Andrew.
And Andrew Feldman obviously probably wanting a little bit more action. He's down over $100,000, and he's not going to get it all back if people keep folding.
Exactly, and he's had aces twice so far today. Just shows that aces aren't always the answer. It's nice to have a big hand behind a slightly weaker hand. But that hasn't happened so far for him today. But it's always nice to win a pot rather than lose a big pot. And that's what could have happened if he got a couple of callers.
Hey, look at it this way. At the end of the day, no matter how much he wins or loses, he's got really cool sunglasses. Good games, 24 hours of no-limit hold'em. And all these players, they've all played long, long sessions. I know you have, I have. Most poker players,
Pass.
it's not a foreign thing for them to play 20 hours straight, 21 hours straight.
Pass.
Exactly, I think in my day I played over 40 hours straight, so you're maybe not as fresh by the end of it all, but as long as everyone else is just as unfresh as you are, it doesn't really matter. I certainly don't think I could do it anymore. Starting to feel a little bit old for my 40-hour straight cash games.
You get a raise in the small blind from Alan Cunningham. Looks like a call from Tom Dwan. And the one thing good is everybody at home can watch this. They don't have to smell it.
Heads up.
Dwan with the ace.
Queen 5.
Cunningham with 5-6. Well, Cunningham outflops him.
Seems to do better when he's got the worst hand so far, Alan.
4,000.
Funny, obviously ace-7 much better than 5-6 heads up, but at the same time 5-6 suited seems to play better post-flop. Cunningham's going to bet up 4,000. Dwan has the ace of clubs.
I find it interesting sometimes when I'm sitting in a cash game and you know some guy's getting beaten up or not having too much of a run. You start feeling like you can make more plays against them. And I think that's possibly what we could even see here from Tom.
Well, it's very much like sharks to blood. They see blood in the water and they smell it and they go for it. Best poker players in the world have no mercy. And Tom Dwan, obviously one of those sharks.
Raise.
And, well, you called it. Tom Dwan raises it up. And that really puts
5,000,
puts Alan Cunningham in a
400.
tough spot. Out of position with bottom pair.
What I'd like to see here from Alan isn't so much a call, it's maybe what we had with Chris Ferguson earlier on, the re-raise. But as it happens, he decides to get out the way. That's the problem with a hand like 5-6. It's a great position hand, but if you're out of position against a player like Tom Dwan, you really have to catch an absolute monster because he's going to put you to an awful lot of pressure come the flop.
And unlike last year, Tom Dwan is actually having quite a good $1 million cash game. Today he's up $41,800. But this is a first for $1 million cash game history.
The other type
Here we are at the fulltiltpoker.net $1 million cash game.
Let's be honest.
It's not easy to play good, but if the other guy plays very good, you know,
If you look back at how
it makes it harder when you
Pass.
if you don't have enough time to hit every
look
shot.
back at how Roddick played Federer, and when Roddick played him over in
That was like the
Australia.
best match ever.
So I was talking about tennis
If
right now.
Federer
Patrick Antonius, by the way, a
served
former
like the
tennis
way
player and
yesterday, Roddick
coach.
beat him like 3-0.
2,100 to play.
You know what
Well,
I'm
what
saying?
happened? Did Roddick win that? No?
No, he
Gus
lost
Hansen
it.
happens to be a very good tennis player in his own right as well.
Whatever in the 5th set.
As does David Benjamin.
Right? Good catch, good call.
Almost looks like if you want to be a good poker player, you want to start off in the tennis world.
It's either tennis or backgammon,
Yes.
which means I'm doomed.
Yes. I'm talking about the one recently.
Well, 3 ways to the flop. Once again, Dwan raises. Once again, Ivy and Antonius defending their blinds.
Yeah, definitely is the toughest blind spot on the table.
Yet Dwan doesn't seem to care. He continues to attack their blinds and gets called over and over again. And this time with a hand as weak as 7-4.
6.
Dwan also, he's attacking their blinds, yet not betting in position against them.
Yeah, quite often. I find that quite strange. I think in this spot, he just knew there's going to be something out there for one of these players.
Check.
And it's not a consistent story now if he bets on the river.
No, what's he trying to represent? Exactly.
They call him with a deuce, a six, a decent ace.
I think Antonius would probably, if Ivy wouldn't call,
Which
I
we
think
know he's going
Antonius,
to.
right? I think Antonius would actually call with ace high. And Ivy trying to work it out, it just doesn't make any sense. There's no way I'm not going to at least call you. Yeah, and he's going to raise it up.
We know he's got a genuine hand here, but he could actually do this with nothing because it's like we say, it's just not a consistent story here from Tom.
The amazing thing is, Ivy could have done this with 5 high.
Exactly. It's just not a consistent story.
I have all the respect in the world for Tom Dwan. I think he's a phenomenal player. I've watched him play time and time again. But the way he's playing some of these hands in position against Ivy and Antonius just doesn't make any sense to me.
Maybe they're playing on a different level to us, David.
Well, that's probably the case.
You don't even feel guilty. I wouldn't either.
It could be a matter of Tom Dwan setting him up for a later play.
You had to late on the pocket I had, if I had to lay like $1.80, $1.90, 210,
2000 play.
I know. And he beat him like just in the pieces.
Pass.
Did you bet on it?
That was 200 to winner.
Well, raise here from first position from Alan. Call from Tom Dwan.
Call.
That brings in Phil.
Pass.
Phil with a 10 jack.
Call.
And Chris in there. A lot of picture cards out there. I'd expect a baby flop with all of those. Maybe some aces on the board.
Queen, 8,
Oh, there's a queen.
Well, this is interesting here. Now, Tom Dwan with top pair king kicker. He actually has 2 pair, queens and 8s with a king kicker. Chris Ferguson with queens and 8s, but a 10 kicker.
3000.
It's not going to stop Alan from having another flyer at this flop.
Call. Call.
Well, Phil's calling for a 9. Now does Chris want to let a cheap card get out there? It's only 3,000, but he is out of position. If he gets a couple of callers, how much is he going to like it if he does re-raise?
Well,
it's going to have to be a big re-raise.
Well, this is the problem, though. If you re-raise here, you're only going to get worse hands to fold. An 8's never going to fold, and then you have no idea. If somebody does call, you have no idea where you're at. Here's the turn.
6.
6. 6 changes nothing.
Check. Check.
Well, Alan's done with it.
I wonder if Tom's worried about Chris in this hand. I still don't know if he wants to check this one.
So many different things here. I mean, you talk about, do I have the best hand? Do I want to do a little pot control here, keep this pot small? And at the same time, do I want to give up a free card? Normally on a board of Queen 8-8 Rainbow.
You probably think you can with a King Queen. But 3 other players, you've got to expect there's some. Well, looks like he's going to make a bet.
14,400.
And he bets 14,000 into a $21,000 pot. Phil Ivey folds, and now this is the big one. We know Alan Cunningham is going to fold behind him, but the action is on Chris Ferguson. He has 2 pair, queens and 8s, with a 10 kicker. Tom Dwan with the best of it right now. I mean, let's be honest. Ferguson can only beat a bluff.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a pretty good bluff if you're betting into 3 other players in this kind of a spot.
Pass.
And the interesting thing is, if Ivey and Cunningham are not in that pot, I think Ferguson probably lose a lot more chips.
Quite possibly, yeah.
Tom Dwan raising it up with such a variety of hands. It's what makes him so dangerous. He's made about 1.1 million in tournaments. Much more than that online in cash games, though. And call the presses. He's not playing a hand.
Raise.
Mattisau is going to play, though. Mattisau raises it up with
2,600
ace-jack offsuit.
What actually is quite amazing, we've got tournament winnings of over $40 million spread between the 7 players here, and I bet you most of them have made more money playing cash games. You'd say that's definitely true of, say, Tom Dwan, Andrew Feldman, even Phil.
Well, I think if you look at this table, the only player at this table that would call themselves a tournament player would be Chris Ferguson.
Yeah, that's probably true.
So what's left?
That's all that's left.
Well, those are the chips of Patrick Antonius. You can see the denominations, those black ones, the pretty $25,000 ones. Patrick Antonius with the 10-8.
Pass.
I'm not going to play it. Andrew Feldman with the 9 of clubs.
2,200 to play.
He raises it up.
Pass.
Cunningham gets out of the way.
Pass.
Only 20 more hours.
Tom Dwan going to
Cool.
call this with Queen Jack in the small blind. Madison gets out of the way, and we're heads
Pass.
up. And this is kind of the new generation of poker. 2 online
Heads up.
experts.
4, 10, 10.
Feldman versus Dwan.
Check.
And Feldman, he's going to check this.
5.
And that's definitely setting a little trap there. I'm pretty sure he knows he's ahead. Most players would do a continuation bout to 9s. And he's going to check it one more time. That's surprising on the turn. I would have expected a bet there. And he gave Dwan a lot of chances to draw out on him.
They asked me in the interview, they said, so what do you think of the game today? I said, well, I'm not going to lie. I think this is the toughest lineup I'm ever going to play in my whole life.
River's a 6 of diamonds.
Check.
Dwan checks. Over to Feldman. You expect a bet here, at least for value. Obviously, he won't be called, you wouldn't imagine. But he checked the flop. He checked the
4,000.
turn.
Pass.
And Tom Dwan, no interest in this pot. He throws it away and gives it up to Andrew Feldman. Andrew Feldman, by the way, still down over $100,000, even with Welcome to the FullTiltPoker.net $1 million cash game.
Two is good.
I don't want to change anything until we get people I want to play with.
2,200 to play.
You know, when them guys come here. Or Phil
Well, here comes
here.
Andrew. He's had aces twice, now he's picked up kings. Will he get some action this time? Only man left who can give him some action is Patrick Antonius.
Well, you know Patrick Antonius is not folding his blind. He's going to at least call, and he does call. Now, Andrew Feldman, with aces twice and kings once, you'd think he'd be way
Deuce,
ahead.
6 deuce.
But no, he's down over $100,000.
3,500.
Doesn't look like he's got a flop here he can get an awful lot of money back with.
Yeah, Patrick gives it up. And Andrew Feldman, who absolutely dominates the online poker world, having a bit of trouble playing in this live game.
Yeah, so far hasn't been his day. Made a bad call as it happens against Phil Ivey with ace king. He's had aces twice. One of those he was up against aces, and here he is with kings, just pretty well picking up a small pot. Over 100,000 down, but it's a long, long day, and he'll have plenty of opportunity to get his money back.
Chris Ferguson, first to act. Ferguson, by the way, up $44,700 in last year's $1 million cash game. Ferguson was up really big early before losing a monster pot to Phil Ivey. Dwan with Queen 7. Not much of a hand, but that doesn't mean anything for Tom Dwan.
Pass.
Well, it does in this case. He folds it away. Mike Madison with the 10 deuce.
Pass. $2,000 to play.
And Ivy going to raise this up with the 5 deuce of spades on the button.
I got to grind up 500 at a time.
We should just do 5K a pot. Tell you only win if it's 2 or your suit.
They won't let us do props. They said
2,000.
no props no matter what.
And what are they going to do if 4 people are playing props?
Right.
And you get a re-raise here from Antonius.
So I'll tell you what.
8,000.
He doesn't give
8,000
Ivy
total.
credit for that raise, huh?
That would be my guess. I think he also wants to kind of half find out where his ace is, but I think you're right. I think it's just I don't think you've got much. You're going to raise on the button with anything. I'm going to try and take this one down. So 2,000 from Phil, 8,800 total from Patrick Antonius, another 6,800 to Phil.
The one thing that's dangerous, though, is, this is what I was about to say, Ivy is bound to raise with anything on the button. But
He's
when you
also quite
re-raise
happy
him,
to call.
exactly, when you re-raise him, he's not folding so quickly.
Jack, deuce 8.
So
Oh.
now you're out of position in a bigger pot. But you have took control of it.
Now, Ivy's out-flopped him, but he
But
might not
still,
know it.
it's not a big out-flopping.
Well, it goes
Okay,
check, check.
King.
Well, if you didn't think you were behind on the flop, you might think it now. King of clubs, definitely a scary card if you're in there with 5 deuce. Pot is $19,600. And the action is on Patrick Antonius.
About $20,000 in the pot. I can't imagine Patrick letting this one go without firing another shot. Looks like about 11, 12,000.
12,200.
And it's 12,200 over to Phil Ivey. Pot is now 31-8, 12-2. And I would say 99% of players, they're 5 deuces in the muck right now. Not necessarily, though, with Phil Ivey. It's kind of that sixth sense, doesn't he?
He certainly does. These two players have played against each other an awful lot. Lots and lots of pots, lots and lots of hours.
And Ivy calls. What a call. And this pot, I mean, Antonius with ace high, Ivy with a pair of deuces. There's the river. It's the 6 of diamonds. Well, if you didn't think you were behind before, the 6 of diamonds doesn't change anything, does it?
No, exactly. Now it's a question of whether Patrick's going to fire again. It's 44,000 in the middle.
Unbelievable.
Check.
Check.
Now, Patrick checks it. Does Ivy think he needs to bet
All right.
to win this pot?
Check.
Ace 5.
Oof, that's music to Phil's ears.
Aha, see, I knew deuces.
Unreal. Patrick Antonius can only shake his head.
He's seen it all before, Patrick.
2 players are friends, but no love lost there on the table.
yeah.
Button is in front of Patrick Antonius. Just took a big hit to his stack.
2,000.
Down about $87,000 right now.
I think I'm going to 3-barrel somebody. It's coming soon. I got to 1-barrel somebody first.
Well, Tom Dwan raises. Phil Ivey going to re-raise.
7,500 to play.
And Ivey is definitely feeling it.
He's flowing right now, Phil.
Pass.
He's got position. He's up against one of the most aggressive players at the table, who could be raising with anything.
Cool.
And he's now took control of the pot.
Heads up.
Well, Dwan's in good shape. But does he know it?
5,
I
7.
think we both know the answer to that is no.
Well,
Is
now
it-
he's not in good shape at all. Phil Ivey has flopped an open-ended straight draw. Tom Dwan with the best of it right now with queen high, but
Certainly the kind of flop that could give Phil a little bit of confidence to play it quite fast.
as if Phil Ivey needed any confidence.
That much is true.
Pot is $17,300. Action on Phil Ivey. I think the action's still on Tom Dwan. I apologize.
Normally you'd expect the player with the queen 6 in that spot to check it.
Well, most players would, but Tom Dwan does not fall into that category. And he's going to bet it. He's going to lead right into his opponent. Ivey's going nowhere.
12,200.
What'd you start the hand with this time, Tom?
About 140.
40?
Ivey asking him for a count. The bet is 12,200. Action on Ivey. He's open-ended.
Probably deciding how fast he wants to play this one. Wants to make sure he gets to see the turn for certain.
Oh, I love the call. It's a great call. I mean, can Dwan fire again with nothing?
The re-raise, of course, would have taken away his positional advantage. He might be able to fire again now.
Oh, Dwan. What a lucky turn card there. He had absolutely nothing. He was just making a stone-cold bluff. And now he's got top pair.
It was a stone-cold bluff with the best hand, of course.
Right. But he thought it was a stone-cold bluff.
Exactly.
Check.
And now he's going to check because he's made a hand.
He can afford to call Phil down now.
Ivy's got a lot of outs, though. Any 9, any 4.
Right, it goes check, check.
Check.
Phil not falling for that. King on the end brings the club flush draw. Also a scare card to the Queen 6. Wonder if we'll get a check here from Tom, hoping he's up against something like 8s or 9s that are going to call him. Because 8s or 9s are unlikely to bet with the Queen and King come down. I think either check, call, or bet. I think with his reputation, the bet's probably the best play.
Pot is 41,700. Ivy with 8 high. Dwan with a pair of queens.
We know the best play here is a check, because Phil would have to make a bet if he has any chance of winning this pot. But that's hindsight. But I think long term, I think maybe even the bet's the best play here.
Very easy to put Ivy on pocket 9s, pocket 10s, like you said.
But we also know he's quite capable of just floating one, Phil. And your best bet to get paid here would probably be to check it. Looks like he's going to go with my favourite play in this spot, which is a bet. Especially with his table image.
Well, he's going to bet.
33,800.
How much is it?
33,800.
The only problem with that is it opens up the all-in play from Phil. Big pressure play could come here from Phil.
He bets about half the pot. It's not quite a blockish bet, but at the same time, can Ivy sniff this one out? Can he move all in and get Dwan to fold top pair? Well, not even top pair now, just pair of queens.
Well, the clubs have come. A flush draw on the flop is definitely a viable hand for Phil.
You can see that great poker mind thinking. Well, he's got black chips in his hand.
If his play was all in, he certainly wouldn't be playing with the chips. Looks like he's just going to make a decent size re-raise.
Oh, try to represent the flush.
Almost changed his mind. He definitely thought about it. Everyone looking on. They know if Phil makes a play here, this pot could rapidly go above 200,000.
Yeah, pot is now 65,500. It's 23-8. Back to Ivy. And Ivy obviously either going to raise this or fold. You can almost see that great poker mind working.
I think he's left it too late.
Pass.
And Phil Ivy gives it up. One thing about Phil Ivy, he thinks everything through so much. Tom Dwan, I mean, you just wonder what he was feeling inside while Phil Ivy was thinking about that.
Yeah, I think he wants a call. He certainly doesn't want a re-raise.
cash game playing is online. And I know the online players are very, very good, but at the same time, there is a transition when you go to live. Is Feldman having problems with that?
Quite possibly. I think he's got a different kind of situation to me because I started live and then I went to online, whereas he's got all of his experience online and he's not used to maybe the face-to-face side of things. I think that could really be a difficult thing for him.
Ivy raises it up with pocket sixes. Antonius going to call this one, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I figured there's a lot of
One difference between live and
Oh.
face-to-face, of course. Well,
I spoke too fast there. Patrick Antonius actually going to re-raise the suited connector. Another way to play it now. He has
Raise
position on Ivy.
7,500. Pass, pass.
Phil makes the call. These old friends.
500.
Definitely no love lost between these two friends at the poker table.
No, not at all. So here we go. These two to the flop.
Heads up.
Not a great
7,
flop
9,
for
check.
Phil's 2 6s.
Yeah, you look at that flop there with 2 red sixes. Not much there at all. If your opponent is not beating you right now, he probably has a draw to beat you. And we can see that Antonius is way ahead. Well, how about 2 pair for Antonius, but at the same time, Phil Ivy with the open-ended straight draw. Now the 10 would not help him. 10 would actually chop it up. But Ivy can now catch a 5 or a 6. Pot is 17,300.
9,000.
Sorry? 9,000.
9,000 the bet from Patrick.
Yeah, he bets about half the pot.
I think that's going to get a call. Don't blame Phil for possibly making this call.
Well, it's a scary board, and he knows his opponent is capable of making a move on a scary board like this.
It just looks like it's almost obliged for Patrick to make a bet in this spot once he's checked the flop.
If Ivy does call this, the pot will be up to 35,000. It almost seems like every single pot is in or around 40,000 or more. Mark Mattisau looking for a hand to get involved with. Can't find the spot, though. And Alan Cunningham, another player who's been very quiet. Every time he steps into the pot, seems to go wrong for him. He's down about 47,000 today.
Yeah, but our biggest loser right now is Andrew Feldman.
Pass.
Down over 100,000, and Phil gets out the way. Dodge that particular one. Chris Ferguson doing particularly well so far today, up over $40,000.
Is that your?
Patrick Antonius wins that pot. Still down about 79,000 today.
100 more.
Cards being doled out.
Thank you.
Just to remind you, the blinds are $300, $600, with a running ante of $100.
Pass.
For those that don't play that much, a running ante basically means every single player is going to have to put in $100.
2,000.
Well, that makes a total of $1,600 in the pot before anyone even receives their card. And this is actually cash. This isn't tournament chips.
Cool.
That's 1,600 real dollars. These players sitting with over $1 million between them.
Pass.
Well, you get a bet,
Pass.
a raise from Ivy, a call from Antonius. Over to Cunningham. I'm not sure if this is a hand that he wants to play. But we'll see. But you know what? I was going to say not a hand he wants to call with. But is it a spot for him to raise with?
Raise to 8,000.
And sure enough, he does raise it up. You saw him cutting out those chips. He raised it up to 8,000. Ivy, though,
Cool.
scared of nothing.
Just an instant call. That's going to be a little bit scary for Alan, who hasn't managed to get anything to work for him so far today.
What did you start the hand with, Alan? 50?
It's a 24-hour cash game, though.
Heads up.
Plenty of opportunity to get out of it. Doesn't have to do it straight away.
6, 7.
Well, Cunningham's flop top pair.
He
He's going to
just-
check it.
He also doesn't have much in the way of
Check.
cash. Phil doesn't want to open up the check raise all in. And it's
an
getting
inch.
a bit dangerous now. That's 2 diamonds.
Yeah, a lot of cards for Ivy to catch here.
Check.
And it goes check. Let's see if Ivy takes the card or he tries to take it away.
Okay.
He's going to check as well. Here's the river. And the river's a
Four.
4 of clubs. Anybody with a 5 would have a straight.
I'm surprised Alan's played it this way. I really don't like the way he's played it.
As big a fan as you and I are of Cunningham's game, he is down $50,000 today. That could be affecting his judgment.
Quite possibly. This is probably the second hand so far today. I haven't been a big fan of the way he's played it.
Okay.
And it checks down. They both go check,
Seven.
check, 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 and $19,800 are going to go to Alan Cunningham.
I don't think Alan's too pleased with the way he played that pot either. Be even less of a fan when he sees how many free cards he gave Phil to improve to.
I was thinking of it.
I bet the flop you said you were going to fold. Really?
Just to confuse you, I was going to fold the face up.
Yeah. So you played the pair that time. That's why you won.
If I didn't have a pair, I was going to check and fold.
That was one way to play it.
Pairs are tough to get.
I almost bet the end.
I didn't realize how tough pairs to get, but Phil showed me today how tough they are.
It was the first one I had.
Phil's made the deuces look good for about 50,000.
Phil with his weak ace.
Well,
Just limping in.
Mattisau just said he made the deuces look good. He's got an ace deuce.
Okay.
Antonius a little better of it though. He's got ace 9.
He's flat calling as well, I think.
You know, that's going to bring Feldman in as well.
Pass. Pass.
Looking like a bit of a family pot so far.
Oh, I thought it was going to be a family pot, and then it got to Chris Ferguson. I mean, Chris
Right.
Ferguson, by the way, after 3 people limp in, he's in position with 10-9 offsuit.
Wow, I'm surprised he
That's
doesn't play that
six.
in that position.
I mean, isn't that a spot to call with? I'm surprised. Well, we talked about Ivy winning with a pair of deuces earlier. He's got a pair of deuces again. Tom Dwan with nothing.
800 to play.
Doesn't stop him from firing.
Call.
And Ivy with a pair of deuces is going to call. Antonius gets out of the way. Now, Andrew Feldman here, he's got the flush draw. Queen 5 of spades for Andrew Feldman. Now he's in position against these two, and he's just going to call. He's going to smooth call. He's going to ask you how you like that play.
Well, he doesn't want to make it too big with the Queen 5 of spades, I think. I think he wishes it was a bit bigger now. Phil Ivy with the ace of spades in his hand too.
Check.
Ivy with a pair of deuces and the ace of spades. Feldman with the made flush.
Goes check, check. $12,000 in that.
And if you're Andrew Feldman, how much are you betting here? You don't want to lose your opponents, obviously, but at the same time, you want to get some value for your hand.
About 8,000.
And Feldman really hasn't mixed it up too much. When he calls you and then another spade comes off,
And then he wants to bet it.
I mean, the other players have to know they're behind. Obviously, Tom Dwan with nothing is queen high. Ivy with only a pair of deuces.
6,300.
But Ivy has got a pair of deuces with the ace of spades in his hand. That may keep him involved for a little bit longer. He's kept it really cheap as well, 6,300. I think he's going to get a caller.
Call.
Well, Ivy already knows. If another spade comes off and I move all in, I might get called. It happened earlier. Here's the river. Oh! And it's a 6 of diamonds. Ivy looking for that spade. It does pair the board. But in Hold'em, not quite as scary as Omaha's, per se.
No, I think you're still expecting a bet here from Andrew and probably a laydown from Phil.
And what kind of bet would you make here?
15,000. He bet less than I thought last time, so he'll probably bet less this time. Well, looks like he's betting more.
Looks like about 17,000.
I'm going to go with 18.5.
18,500.
Ah, so that's why you're the poker player. That's why you get paid the big bucks. 18,500 back to Phil Ivey. And Ivey gives it up quickly.
Yeah, that was definitely a call to catch a spade. It was cheap enough. Maybe a deuce he thought might be good for him, or an ace. And Andrew picks up a pot. Still not even close to getting out of it, but that'll get him a little bit closer. A little over $90,000 behind still.